All right, we're going.
Got it. Cool.
What's going on, man? This is Weirdos at Home. Really abrupt start. I wasn't ready for it. It was kind of I was off the snap count by quite a bit. My name is Sam Slade, but you guys know that, and I have such a fun guest with me today. I don't get to see this guy enough. He is slowly, methodically taking over Central Texas comedy. Comedian Jack Neal's here. What's up, man?
Nothing much. Nothing much, dude. Living the dream.
For the well, I mean, boy, you're killing it lately. For the folks who don't know, you co-host the Big Sad podcast.
Yes, sir.
You find that on Spotify, right?
Yeah, you can find it wherever you get your podcasts for sure.
I was just going to get your plugs out. It's Wednesday night. You can see him hosting Wheel of Comedy in San Antonio. What club is that at?
It's at Upstage Comedy Lounge.
Nice, man. Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then Friday at Wake the Dead with Sam Narani, Jay LaFar, Sean Riley, and Paul Cyphers. You hosting?
Yes, that's my baby. Yeah.
Wake the Dead?
Yeah, man. Not just that, but the show, the 15th and 4th, is just 4 comics doing 15 minutes.
Oh, that's dope, man.
It's real like sweet and simple, but I like doing it because you definitely get to bring talented people to be able the room is so small, so it's nice to watch comics who are some that definitely haven't had an opportunity to run a 15-minute set out of Austin, and then you got some that they've been doing it for a while. We had Andy Huggins on very early on, and he's like a Houston legend. I mean,
yeah,
a Texas legend. And he came and did 15 minutes. I mean, you talk about watching just a pro, just a guy just slay.
Just owning the room like it's his fucking living room, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then it's also, though, it's like, 15 minutes. I don't need any more, and I definitely don't need any less.
Right. There's no reason to run the fucking mic because I know the people personally, and I don't want to say their names because they may be the host of this show who ran the fuck out of some Wake the Dead mics back in the day.
Yeah, well, I think we all have for sure. Especially you get a little further into it, you're like, 3 minutes ain't gonna really satisfy me tonight. Like, I gotta have a little more time.
I've got some shit going on, and I may just push it. We'll deal with the consequences afterwards, which never is good. That's never a good way to go about it.
The worst too is when you're just trying to even just add a mic. If you have kind of a new idea, and you start. At least with me, I had one that hit me the last week, so it was taking a second to get to it because that's how I roll. If I have a new story for sure, like a new bit, I'm so long-winded because I'm like, just get it all out, just puke it all out, and then you can cut from there. We'll start cutting, but I need all of it out. And by the time I get to the end, it's never as satisfying. And then but then you get the light being double tapped. You're like, oh, I just ran. Damn. All right.
People started to puff up on the side with the light.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that move. But dude, you've got such an interesting cadence and interesting rhythm. That's one thing I've always respected about your style is you don't give a fuck about what anybody else thinks in the room as long as you get to do your shit.
Yeah, man, it took a long time to get comfortable with that for sure. But I mean, when I started, our mics down in Beaumont were 10 minutes long, which is actually a detriment.
Right.
Yeah, it's actually not a great thing. So I would just be real long-winded. And then I was actually talking to a comic out of San Antonio named Patrick Christopher. I did something with him, and he asked an influence of mine. And I said Kevin Smith.
Hey, bury the lead. I've got it in my notes here.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, exactly. You know just as much. That dude is long-winded as shit, but he knows his audience is there for it. So that's the difference. Is his audience was there when you're first starting. Long-winded doesn't get you there, but now I'm almost I'll get you there. Trust me.
Well, and also you're very close to where people are going to be dying to see you do hours, if not an hour 30. I mean, you're about to fucking just mega stratosphere, whatever Randy Savage used to say. I mean,
I hope
Yeah, you got this, dude. And I'm just saying, like, it was so funny. I watched you on a thing called Prop Comics, I think, on YouTube.
Yeah, that's Pat's thing. Yeah.
And they asked you who was the comic that like really made you want to do it. And as like the hacky dude that I was, it was Jim Brewer's special in like 2000 or like '02
Okay.
when he does like all the impressions. It does Mark McGuire, and he does like it's coming home drunk like in high school. I mean, there's a through
Yeah.
line. But when I heard them ask you that, I paused and I thought to myself, I was like, it's either Big J Okerson,
Yep.
maybe Ari, and then my sleeper was like, he's not going Kev
Yeah.
Smith,
No.
is he?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I like in San Marcos, you had shown up, and I had just moved back from Chicago, and I had got laid off by a political consulting firm, and I decided to start smoking cigarettes, and you took me under your wing.
Oh, that's so funny because I thought you'd been here forever. So I think you, me, and Jason, and obviously a couple more people at that time, but I think we all ran into each other at the kind of same time.
Showing up to San Marcos, yeah.
But thinking that I thought you were like a year or two into the scene in San Marcos, I think Jason thought the same thing of me. And then to find out we probably weren't really that a couple months apart, something like that. Big thing
No,
though.
I mean, very close. And what was so funny about that is like there was this fun little era, and I don't like it's one of those things that it'd be more fun to reminisce about, I bet, like 15, 20 years from now. But
Yeah.
there were these nights where it was you and me and Jason, and it almost played like Goodfellas. Like
Yeah.
somebody would end up almost getting in a fight, somebody would crush, and somebody would get in a fight with their girl. And we would
Oh,
have
yeah,
like
dude.
all three of those things on the way to the next mic.
Yeah, it's definitely been so what's funny is we've gone through really probably like two new I'd call them like crops. Like we had the college kids come through, and it was like this like group of like five of them that took it seriously.
Like
And
Garrett Buss.
yeah. So Garrett Buss, Gabe Cortez, you got Laura Ortiz, John Heft, and those are the only ones coming to mind right now because they're actually still in it, still doing the
Oh,
really
Gabe's
like
playing.
the whole time.
Gabe's playing Creek of the Cave this weekend.
Is he really?
It's some. It's a like a. It's he's not like headlining.
Oh, of course not. We all knew that.
I'm trying not to be that guy anymore.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So we had that crop come through, and it took a little while for them to kind of. I remember there was a girl named Lexi Moore, and
Yeah.
she had gotten off stage, and she'd done really well. And I was being, and it was funny. My wife, Addie, she was with me at the time, standing next to me, and Lexi walked over, and I said, like, you could do this though to make this better. And I guess she had just finally had enough or something, but she just looked at me and she said, who fucking asked you?
That's awesome.
And I was like, for one game, so much respect for her.
Right.
And then Addie was like, yeah, man, not everyone wants your fucking opinion every time.
Yeah. And Milk making an appearance.
Was
I mean, that's the thing. You beat me to this long before I got there, but you're with a strong woman of color who's going to tell you exactly what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
And I'll never remember. I mean, I'll never forget how the huge grin on your face when you heard about my epic divorce to the uppity white lady.
Oh yeah.
And how much you personally enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Based on a couple previous years. And I was so happy that you got to enjoy that.
That's so funny. I remember that now. That just reminded me, yeah, because I remember you must have been pretty close to it because I had said a joke and it seemed to hit you differently. And I was like,
So what's that mean? What's that supposed to mean?
yeah, but that was also too, man. I've like so I chill, like not even chilled, like I'm just done drinking for right now. Because
I saw you talking about that, man, and
yeah,
Lord knows, I first thing I thought was, my God, I'm gonna have to start following. Jack is all blatantly, obviously doing the right thing, but you're also a dad, man. You got two kids, they're growing up, man. I see them. They're like, are they teenagers now?
one, yeah, he's 13, man. And
That's crazy. He was 6 when we were doing mics together.
yeah, I know. It's great. It literally blows my mind, and just kind of his attitude and now his interest. And I mean, he's not his attitude is like it pops up a little bit and you're just like, oh, but you know, you got to really, it's a path that's hard for me to walk with him right now, to be honest. Just because,
Is that thing where it's like he was such a sweet kid, his whole life, and now he's finally like figuring out like, oh, I can kind of like push back.
yeah, of course. And it's kind of the stereotypical or like cliche thing, but you almost, my parents were pretty, you know, thumb on me, just pressing down every time that happens. So sometimes you got to pop off. The biggest thing I always tell him though is it's really when it comes to him talking shit to his mom. And
Yeah.
that's we're great now, me and my mom, but there's and my stepmom, everyone's great. But I didn't become a comedian out of nowhere, you know.
Well,
So
I think you and I have always had that in common, where it's like, hey, maybe we don't bring up old stuff.
yeah, but I'll tell him, and I've told him for a while, but it's gonna happen a lot more. I can tell is like, you, you know, respect, like you have a mom that loves you,
Yeah.
and some people like me who for a long time thought my moms didn't, plural, two of them. So, you know, she loves you. You gotta show her that back. You gotta show her that respect back. So that's really the only thing I get onto him. But a quick story. Apparently, my wife called me. She's all pissed off at something he had done. He left all the cabinet doors open. I don't know what the hell that's about. But
That's just teenage, like not thinking about shit, right? Like,
yeah, I guess I'm like, how do you slip the mind?
not a well thought out prank, if that's what it was.
Yeah. Because it's funny. I walked in the kitchen the other day. He had done it, and it's literally every cabinet door open. I'm like, what? Why? But so I guess she had said, I'll shut the, don't worry, I'll put this up and I'll shut the cabinet door. And I guess his response was, okay. And she came around the corner. She's like, are you talking to me? Like with that attitude? He was like, I just don't see why you're passive aggressive about it. I'm like, why? Why would you say that to her? Like, not even like, hey man, that your mom don't talk to her that way. It's like, why are you trying to start a fight? What's wrong with you? That's not the way to go about life.
Has he ever seen you do stand up?
Hmm?
Yeah,
Yeah, I took him to do stand up too.
really?
Yeah, he uh I'm sure your audience will appreciate this because I'm sure they like your interest and stuff. So we were watching, he was very young, he was like 7, maybe 8. And he said we were watching Star Wars and an Empire when Vader chops off Luke's hand. Spoiler alert. But when that happened, he just looked over at me and just in this kid quizzical way, he was like, do you think they showed his hand because it was like waving goodbye to Luke? And I was like, that's a fucking joke, dude. Like, that's hilarious.
That's really fucking funny. It's
It
like,
was so out of nowhere for him. So I had him go do that on stage.
yeah, I think what's so funny about that is like it's at that age, it's debatable whether or not that was a joke or whether or not that was just a real question.
Yeah. Yeah. Then he did the act out, bye bye, Luke. And I was like, what? Like, and it's so funny. I could have just stole that and I, used it, but I was like, you just gotta come tell that on stage. And then to watch, man, you want to talk about the difference between like open micing and people that really are confident in themselves. How many people freak out when there's a kid in the room?
Oh,
Oh my God, I can't.
well,
Oh,
they'll immediately. Well, first of all, they're reading their bits off their phone,
yeah.
and you know how much I love that. I'm going, yeah,
Yeah.
and they'll sit there and go like, "Whoa, kids here! Oh, I didn't know it was kids eat free. It's not even that funny. Like, and you're just like, dude, kid's cooler. He wouldn't be here. Do your shit.
Yeah, me and pretty much the Big Sad crew, we went and did a show in Lake Whitney, which was
I saw that. So the Big Sad Crew is you, Jason Johnson, the
yeah,
Godfather,
yep,
and then who else is it?
Raymond Cabrera.
Raymond Cabrera. That's right.
Yeah, but we went and did a gig in Whitney, and there were kids all in the front row. Like
Really?
one was sitting in like a high chair. So basically, the owner wanted to do a show, and he invited his whole family. They didn't even say like family friendly or anything. The wife, they just had money, you know what I mean? So they're like, we don't give a shit. So they had the kids there, and I just went up and started. I immediately did ask the two kids or something a question just to make the crowd be like, okay, he's acknowledging kids are in the room.
You have to, right?
Yeah. And then if you just throw in like a small curse word or whatever, there's one time I stopped down to be like, oh, I literally can't say that in front of these kids. Oh, this is terrible. You know, I'm just going to do it anyway. Forgive me. You know, it's like the little tricks, but it's still.
You just play the vibe of the room, man, and you're one of the best I've ever seen that doing that. I've got to bring it back to, you know, a lot of comics romanticize like the hang when you're hanging out with comics and in between sets and before and after shows. You were the Obi-Wan of the hang, my man. The amount of serious discussions that really meant nothing because they were either about Kevin Smith movies or Scorsese movies or Batman, not movies, comic books.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the debates were, I mean, worth the price of getting out and just going to the show.
Well, that's when man, in college, I was doing film stuff, and I realized very quickly I didn't even want to do that. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but then I had been listening to podcasts and stuff, and it's just those. I worked warehousing before, went to film school or whatever. Had Skylar already at the time, even while I was away from him, and then went back to warehousing, and it's just one of those like, it's such a. I don't know. I've been listening to a lot of like singer-songwriter country shit, so that's the only comparison I have right now. But it's like in one of those songs of just like working in the steel warehouse, but you're like staring off in the distance. You're like, what do I really want to do? And man, it was back in the days when Rogan had first started, and Weird with Pete Holmes.
Dude, you got me into the show that I still listen to almost every day, usually older episodes, the fucking Bonfire.
Yeah. That's definitely a transition from what they had going.
Oh, the new transition? Oh yeah, no,
it's great. I like it, but
I was
gonna
great.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's different, but it's working.
I think there's definitely a Tara and I made it like our ritual on road trips to listen to like long episodes of the Bonfire. And,
yeah.
And there was something about that, the chemistry that made you feel like you were hanging out at a mic.
Yeah. That's
after Dan and Jay, you know.
That's after like years and years of those of pods and shows before them, and then being able to now do like whatever you want type. Like yours is an interview style, us as three guys bullshitting around. You got Are You Garbage, which is almost like a game show. You got so many. But to tie it all back, like the early days and listening, kind of staring off, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And on those podcasts, man, they would just say like, basically it was essentially like comedy's fun. You just go up, you talk, and then you get done and you hang out in a green room with funny people. What could be funner? And it's like, oh yeah, I should kind of try that. I don't even know if I wanted to really do stand-up as much as just hang out with funny people and just get paid to do it. You just have to work a little bit, which is why it's taken me so long.
But you were always the guy thinking about the bit and thinking about the joke. I mean, I walk up, you'd be sitting there looking at a football game at like Eva or Taxis, whatever it was called.
Yeah.
And you look like you had like fucking 500 on the Raiders that night. And I'm going like, you all right, dude? And you're like, I'm trying to get this laundry bit, but then I go out to the car and like trying to just make this bit work. It had nothing
Right.
to do with just locked in.
Yeah. And it's fun to do that work now. And I don't know, it took so long to like figure out, for one, the voice, which they're not lying unless you're just like Bo Burnham or something, you know, where it's taken only a year or two to pop off or figure
Like
out who you are.
Seinfeld, who just had it when he was born and shit.
Exactly. Like it's going to take you about 10 years to kind of figure out exactly what you want to talk about or exactly what you're
Well,
comfortable
and
talking about.
that's if you're really trying to progress, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I really admire you because you go to the next level every year, like an athlete. Whereas I can name out of folks that we both know that like you're like and they're still doing that.
Yeah, a little bit. And now for us, it's kind of people that are, it's kind of people that are far away. Well, for us and San Marcos, you look online and you see these names that you friended like before the pandemic because you thought that would get you somewhere because you had to network and shit. And that's where it hits me where I'm like, you're still doing that? Like,
But the same is the shit he was doing 3 years ago.
yeah, you're like, what are we doing here? But it's whatever. That's a lot of, it took a long time to kind of grow up, basically. Is like that compare to despair, you know, don't worry about what the other person's doing, just focus on yourself. And then also
Right.
like I said, man, I'm just taking a long time off drinking. I tell you, we were joking about it yesterday on my podcast. I have to go to Crystal Beach for a week this summer, 7 days. That almost sounds like it's fun, but I don't have a job right now, which I love, but I'm just going to vacation from what feels like a vacation every day. You know, like
Dude, just spend it writing and shit.
I will, but I will definitely relapse and that's fine. You know, like
Well, I mean, look, when you say here's where I gotta get you to be easy on yourself, is that when you say like, hey, I'm just gonna quit drinking for a little bit, then don't put the pressure on yourself to go, well, then it's a relapse.
true. Yeah.
I mean, relapse sounds like I've been off heroin for fucking 25 years and some guy in a bathroom cornered me and was like, it's tar, baby.
Yeah, that's true. I need to quit using that word. I just find it, I guess, a little, you know, dramatic flair to it, but it is.
Fucking
It's like,
scary.
I'm just with the whole thing, I'm just like, I just don't ever want to cut it out. But I say that every time the opportunity comes out where I'm like, just no, I'll wait till the next kind of major event. And I'm like, I could just go life like that. Like, that's fine. But
Well, look, you are. I mean, in your defense of taking a break, you are a guy that I've seen pound like. I mean, more drinks than you can count on three hands, and you wouldn't even know.
that dude, so that has been the biggest problem with me.
Whereas I get like four deep, and I'm like, what do you say?
Yeah, near the end, man, it was getting pretty bad. Like it was really, people were saying near the end, it was me getting on stage and halfway attempting something and then being like, I don't know what the fuck your problem is. I'm just and bailing out of
Yeah.
a set early. By the way, this is at Mike's. No work is coming anymore.
Right.
No work is coming because I'm just hammered constantly.
Right.
And
That's
you don't,
professionalism. Nobody wants to
and-
hire that guy.
and a show, and I don't blame showrunners for being like, I don't know who's gonna come. I don't know if like the Jack who takes it seriously is gonna show up, or the drunk Jack that like,
And that's such a fucking dicey situation to put yourself in.
yeah,
And I mean, and you saw me at shows that I hosted get into that mode like 2/3 of the way. Oh yeah,
yeah.
all right, and you're just like,
I started doing a mic just to kind of, you know, help. Again, we got a new crop of people, about 4 or 5 people doing it. So it's like, all right, let's give them another spot to go to.
the nice thing is every year Jack Neal stays the same age, gets
Yeah,
older,
exactly.
they stay the same age.
Yeah, exactly. That is it. But near the end of that, dude, before I stopped, I probably re-met a couple people 9 times. And then when I tell them that, when I start talking to them, they're like, we never knew you even like had a problem like that. I'm like, Yeah, brother. The liquor store's 2 minutes away from my house, and there's about two more in between that I would stop at before going to do like my job. It's crazy. I mean, it's great now to chill out, but I forgot how we even got on all
Well,
this.
I'll be honest with you,
Let's
Jack.
take
This
it
is
more
a
serious.
this is a conversation I needed to have because it needs to be reeled in lately.
Yeah. Is it I don't have a problem if someone needs some help or wants to talk about something. I'm all for it. I realize you basically know when to chill. And I just, for a long time, I just couldn't be like, just chill for like a couple days. That's really what it came down to. It's like, just chill for a couple days. And then I realized I couldn't even do that. So
Well, I think some of that, not to get all fucking too deep before we get back into fun stuff, but some of that shit comes from, one night you got a standing ovation, you're walking out of the room like you're Elvis. The next day you're back home and your lady's telling you what needs to get done, and you're like, had people on their feet last night.
yeah, for sure. It can be a little bit of that. And then you're sitting there. Here's on the other end too, is you're sitting there being like, get the fuck off my back, lady. And it's like, well, if you weren't hammered all the time, I wouldn't have to be on your back.
Right. We would get
And
more
you're like,
done. Right.
at that point, you're like, damn, like, what do I even say to that?
And that's when it's time to grow up.
Yeah. And it's fun and not, it's terrible. It's not funny, but it's bad when the person that loves you and cares about you the most, they just don't say shit to you about it anymore.
That's fucked up. That's bad.
Yeah. That's when it's, all right.
That's like when the general manager fucking quits telling Zeke that, like, hey, we'd like to see you in the weight room more often.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You've really been given up on, but the person doesn't know what to do.
Like you keep going like this, you're gonna end up in Cleveland. Is that what you want?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like for me, I got all wrapped up in this acting thing the last couple of years, and Walker, I'll acknowledge it. At times we had drinks on Walker.
Right on.
And it was, yeah, but right on until the episode airs and you shot some very cool scene that like felt like it was gonna be like the fucking scene, and then you're having some drinks and then you get all butthurt about it,
Yep. I know what you mean, my man. And then you also were able to look and go, probably could have done 10 times better if I had just said, let's just wait till after we shoot.
Right. Might not have gotten cut. The scene might have stayed in, if I didn't walk out like Dean Martin off the Tonight Show,
Hey.
And that's the nice thing. You get a couple weeks working for HBO, and you're like, oh shit, I'm scared to drink.
Yeah. And it's good. I mean, it's all, I don't know. I guess the lesson in all this conversation right now, and I'll say all of them. I really don't care, but the cliches are there for a reason. Like and every cliche you hear and run into is for a reason. I mean, it's all true. And
isn't that so interesting? Because you, up until like maybe your late 20s, you're like, oh yeah, that old cliche. Yeah. And then you live a little, and you're like, fuck. It's because it's like a law of science.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I don't understand. I really look at people that I guess we had on yesterday, this dude Blake Bolton, newer comic and everything. He does like 3 beers, 4 beers, and you can't tell, which is also from my background, the way people told me. I get a little nervous for him, but he's also an adult. He does what he does. But I also admire it because after 4, he's just like, yeah, I'm done. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, what the
right.
fuck?
Right. Especially at a show like San Marcos Vibe show, where it's a fucking party.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like San Marcos shows feel like a fucking party. It's not get in, get out. It's like get there early, hang out, fucking join in an alleyway with fucking Seth Chavez.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
Bringing that dude back, dude.
yeah, boy,
Back from the
he
grave.
would not be happy to see me, I don't think. Uh, uh, but yeah, there were times where I went way overboard when I was hosting that show at Buzzmill. And you know what? One of the few reasons why I didn't back off is because you were kind of the bad influence little brother on this one level.
Fuck yeah, dude. We're
Where
having
you'd be
fun.
like, where you would be like, it's fucking entertaining for me. And you're like, and you would literally, you exposed me to Big J Okerson. And you go, there's three people. I remember you smoking a cigarette in somebody's face when somebody was telling me, like, hey, maybe write more. And you're like, smoking it, puffing a heater in somebody's face. You're like, there's three great crowd work guys: John Rickles, Big J Okerson, and this fat fuck right here.
Yeah, man. I could
That's you know, if you're a dumb sweetie like me, you take that to heart and you run with it.
I remember the time that you did write and you got so mad. You were like so mad at me because you were like, what the I was like on a roll, and then you got in my head. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm talking about.
You're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody wants to hear about fucking the debt ceiling and fucking Mitch McConnell.
Well, that's it. That's the thing. Some people do.
Not those shows.
You have to find, this is one thing I am finding out very, very well, have found out over the years is there are
What,
people
find your audience, the Kevin Smith thing.
yeah, you'll right now I'm trying to find them pretty much, but there are still people that are like mainly like other comics. And it's a handful of them. It's not a lot of them, but there's definitely a handful of them that are like, yeah, I like what you do. It's like unique. Now, sometimes it's not maybe meaning in the way of it's unique from what we get around here. You're a different voice than what we get around here. And I just go up and talk about my kids. I'm still telling some of the old ass stories and shit like that.
That's what I found. That's what I found very fucking therapeutic this year is getting back to stand up. And if you're not doing anything June 9th, come pop in and do some time at the show I'm doing at Silver Spoon.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Check your calendar.
Is it let me see real quick. Who are you doing it on your own? Are you doing it with
I'm doing.
yourself?
So I was going to do a pretty big chunk of time. In March, I taped an hour there. You sent a very nice attaboy text to me. I appreciate that. It's like watching your cousin miss 3 tackles in the fucking divisional playoff game, and you're like, it's a good game, dude. And I was like, oh, thank you, buddy. But yeah, June 9th, we're doing it. A couple guys are going to do like 5 minutes. Rob Huey, Brian Colson, they're both from Love and Death and from Walker. And then I think you know Devin Powell.
I don't know him, no, but it's okay. I'd love to meet him. Why not? What time?
I think we're gonna start like 7. Well,
Oh yeah,
Heather,
I can do that.
because then they want to do so we put together this. I shot an hour at Silver Spoon.
Right.
And it's a great restaurant and a very cool little theater. I know you've done it a few times.
Yeah.
Interesting place. Food's great. But I did an hour and I taped it and I kind of put it out like an hour on YouTube. And that was on a Sunday night. And like 2 weeks later, we get a call saying we were the biggest like food and alcohol sales night of the quarter for them.
That's great, man.
So they were like, hey, do you want to come back on a Friday? And like, we'll really fucking gas it up. And you're like, yeah, totally. Let's do it again. So I'd love to have you out there, dude.
I'm down. I was looking at my calendar. I have a show in San Antonio at 10. So I got more than enough time to come out there.
Oh, you get to do rock star shit. Pop in, do a set, get on the road.
Hey man, that's where I want to start getting.
You are truly in like your Johnny Cash phase where it's just like, and now on to the next show.
I'm digging it, dude. But what no one, here's a little secret behind, forcing your own firing at your job, and then listening to your wife when she says either you got to go full time or just don't do it at all because you half-ass and it ain't getting you anywhere. It's quite a bit of work trying to hustle, and it's
Oh,
like,
it
hey,
was
buddy.
very clear. I could probably pinpoint, not exactly, but to some extent, because there was a point at which I started seeing you on social media just producing the fuck out of shows.
Yeah, dude. That was
What's the name? You guys started a little company. What's it called?
Yeah, it's called Prickly Pear Pro. I needed a big thing I needed, and this is something I may have even said it to you way back in the day, of like, I have the ideas, I need someone to produce them.
Right.
I need someone to just say like, all right, where and when.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was eventually me just bugging my wife enough or crying about it, where she's like, I'll give it a shot. And so it just started with Wake the Dead, but I won't even give her credit. You could, my dog over here could get Wake the Dead if she fucking hard enough.
I'm gonna give your wife credit because I took your model and Tara Brown, who's usually the co-host of this podcast with me, she completely produced that in the hour I shot. I mean, she everything from lights to sound to I mean everything, because like you're getting at, where our brains don't work like that.
Well, and she probably, her and Addie probably had maybe a similar, well, no, to actually go on and give my wife credit, is I think she saw the first one, and she's been around comedy for as long as I have with it. Like, she's been by my side, and
well, you guys were early high school sweethearts, right?
Yeah, we met when we've been together 18 years.
Yeah.
There's some offs and ons. But like literally the offs were when we were like 21, had a kid. I mean, it's like you
normal life shit. I mean, it's not easy at that age.
You both realize sometimes that you want differences, and sometimes you're just not mature enough to be like, okay, we can grow in different ways but still stay together. Sometimes you think you got to go a different way, and then whatever.
And then sometimes there's that cool thing where, like, we start killing it and they start believing.
Yeah, that's also
that's a very cool fucking feeling.
Well, it is. And when we did our first show, I said, I remember she made she'd always made my flyers and stuff. Like,
she's great stuff. She's great.
If you go look at any of my Instagram stuff, if it looks shitty, she didn't do it. Like, I promise you, she didn't.
Trust me, I know the difference between your social media.
Yeah. So I think she saw like kind of the first one happen and thought to herself, or maybe we were talking on the way home, and well, maybe we could do this, maybe we could do this, just a couple little tweaks to a show. And then I happened to run into the owner of Lazy Days here in town, and I don't know what it was, just like I was at work, and I don't know what it was. He had the shirt on, the Lazy Days shirt on, and I never do this, but I just straight up looked at him. I'm like, you run Lazy Days, huh? He said, yeah. I said, well, what's the fucking deal? Why'd you take, I know the pandemic happened, but like, we've been asking to do a mic over there. Like, why can't we do something over there?
Oh shit, they got rid of it after the pandemic?
Yeah, something had happened. Some toes that got stepped on, or something had happened, but I just happened to.
Did it happen to rhyme with Schmick Maludo?
Nah, that dude's been gone. No.
You're like, no, he's fucking dead. It's fine.
Yeah. And if he's not, I'm glad you said that name that way, because that dude is so happy.
I was never gonna name him. I was thinking all day how it came up. I don't want to say the guy Stanhope raped on his podcast.
Yeah. He allegedly, maybe, I don't know.
It was not consensual. I know Stanhope's actions were not consensual. But you don't know what Schmick Maludo was wearing. He might have been asking for it.
I don't know, but god damn it, did he talk about it enough? Yeah.
Hey, I heard he opened for fucking. God damn it! My edible kicked in, and I can't think of the fucking who's the fat fucking ginger guy that he claimed he opened for forever? Ralphie May.
Oh, there you go. He
He's
may have that. That was a one ear out the other conversation. I talked about that situation. I talked about how toxic this place used to be and how many people
It was not supportive.
and how many people probably could have actually gone on and done something, but probably not got bullied out.
Michael Nieto, it was the most get to joke writer of a fucking generation.
That's what, dude. So I told Blake Bolton last night. I think I just said his name, so I don't know why. Anyway, I told Blake.
This is Weirdos at Home, brought to you by Blake Bolton.
Yeah, I told him last night though. I said, dude, Nieto, like he still could be, but I think he's just past one to put the work in. I don't really blame him.
I mean, because he was so great. You know who he was? He was the Yoda of the scene.
Yeah, and he comes out and he's my wife's favorite comic. Everyone. It's a comic. Everyone stops to watch Michael. He's so fucking funny, dude.
God, I mean, you know what he is? He's like little Texas Dave Attell.
Yeah, that's a great description of him for sure. Yeah, going back to it real quick. So we hit the dude up from Lazy Days, and he was like, here's my number. We'll talk about something in like 2 months. And I just gave her the card, and I was like, this is where I always have failed. I've never succeeded past getting the card. I need you to do this. Like, I need you to solidify this. And she ended up, and there was some drama that went on between me and another comic for that. Long story boring. We ended up getting it, but she nailed it down perfectly to where we work with them pretty well, especially with our mics. And the mic has helped grow the scene. I mean, the mic, like literally, we have guys from Mothership now that come down and they'll run their time still, like even before Mothership opened.
Mothership, that's that new cult on 6th Street.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Oh no. This is interesting. I was going to point this out to you. I don't know if you, maybe before your time in Austin, I would see a buddy of mine, Trey Gallion, play Cap City over the weekend. And he's the coolest, man. He's a Philly, then grew up in Austin and all over the place. Really funny dude. Should be like a huge household fucking name. At one point, he became like Doug Benson's like right-hand dude on his podcast.
Yes, yeah.
Very weed heavy comic, like kind of almost like a more fun Pauly Shore, like a grown-up Pauly Shore kind of attitude. But anyways, I've noticed that there are people now playing Cap City that don't necessarily play Mothership. And it's almost like that shit you used to hear about when we were kids, about like when you go, like when you would watch some comedy doc on like A&E as a kid, just thinking about comedy, and it'd be like, well, you know, you either work for Bud Freeman or you work for Mitzi Shore.
Hey man, it's New York, LA, and Austin now.
Yeah, so, I mean, Chicago is fucking irrelevant now.
Every story you heard like that it's
here.
It's allegedly true. I don't want to say it. I don't want to put my stamp on it because honestly, I haven't been in the mix enough like that right now. So to sit down and say that, but what I will say is you can't have 1,000 comics come down and eight clubs open up basically overnight, which was insane to watch
during the pandemic.
Yeah, and afterwards too, dude. I don't know if you noticed, Mothership opened up, and then you had Sunset,
Creek and the Cray.
Creek. You have Creek, Cap City, Sunset.
Wait, now what is Sunset? Who's running that?
Redman.
He has his own fucking thing?
Yeah.
Damn, I had no idea.
And then you got the Forgotten Stepchild and Velve, which I don't mind saying because you wouldn't work me anyway, so I don't give a shit. Anyway,
Well, I've never had out of the 10 or 12 times I've ever done a mic at Velvet was at 1:30 in the morning. People were asleep on those couches.
I was about to say I won't say the guy's name because I hear he's doing way better. And you
I know
know,
who it is. I know who it is.
well, what I was gonna say, alcoholic to alcoholic, I get where the place was, but dude, I mean, that dude fucked my not opportunity up, but that dude fucked up so many times when I was supposed to be doing that, Mike. So whatever. Anyway,
I just think I think it's a really crazy deal, and it's almost like what happens in sports, where new management takes over to some of these big name clubs, and it's happened at the Velvet, it's happened at Cap City. I mean, fuck, Margie won't let go of the property. It still says Cap City Comedy at the old building.
oh wow, I didn't know that, but I will say, um, it's good. I mean, it really is. At the end of the day,
It is.
it is good. I have people work. I know, and I'll name drop these people because they're funny. You should go watch them anyway. But I know Sawyer Stoll working over at Vel.
And he's crushing it. I remember right before I left San Marcos, I remember him coming in for like, I was hosting that Buzzmill show.
Yeah.
And you were always like automatic spot on it. And Jason Johnson. And then it would usually be, it just depended. But I remember him coming up being like, hey, I know it's like a showcase, but you think I can get some time? And he
Yes.
goes there and fucking shreds.
Yeah.
He's like a freshman in college.
And he's great. And like I said, he's working at a place that they'll never work me, but I don't care. They're giving my buddy support. You got John Heft and you got Jeffrey Berner over at Mothership. I don't know if I'll ever get in there. That almost seems like an impossibility at this point for how many people are actually trying, and I'm not. So I'm
not stressing about getting into Mothership. It's boy, it seems like it's getting so clicky. I've been I have not made fun of Joe Rogan moving down here to I mean, fuck, the place he wanted to start the club used to be there's a Netflix documentary about how it was a cult place.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean, like,
I heard him speak about that. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I love listening to Joe talk about aliens.
Yeah. But he's forming one.
And that's kind of what I check out these days.
I will say I thought the Comedy Mothership was the weirdest name for what is now becoming,
all over
the store in the cellar. It's like the store, the cellar, Mothership right now. But Mothership, not too bad. But it's the Comedy Mothership with the alien, whatever. I want to shout out one more person because it's also, we want to talk about like, work here, don't work here, work here, don't work here. You got Katie Felton over at Cap City.
She's fucking hilarious.
I was about to say, if you don't know Katie, man, she for one, she's fucking hilarious. She's so comfortable now on stage compared to where I've seen her before. And they put her in the small room with a show she has called Lipstick Battle.
That upstairs room at Cap City.
It did so good they gave her the main room. Like all these places, it's basically like, hey man, if you're good, we're gonna give you spots. If you're good enough, we're gonna give you spots. Like you can't ask for any more out of a club. Like I think it's good. I think it is awesome. We get to witness it. We actually get to sit here though and be not involved in those stories necessarily because I'm on the
but watch it from the sidelines and I mean, there's nothing cooler than watching a comic that you like. And I'll say this about you, evolve and get to that next level and find their voice and, realize what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, how are we going to do this?
Yeah.
Sam Narani, great example of that. I mean, she fucking owns the room.
Yeah, man. I can't wait to have her this Friday. That's going to be fun. I've been working.
We may come out this Friday. There was there was some funny stuff I want to talk to you about, but we're talking about comics and stuff. I through the pandemic, man, you and Jason used to give me so much shit about like you're up there trying to do Dennis Miller talking about politics if you're rioting, if you're not doing crowd work. Like you're doing fucking Lewis Black or some shit. And like nobody wants to do that. They're here to have a couple drinks and fucking have fun. And I got back to doing what like you and Jason do so well, and that's just telling fucking true stories about my life.
Yeah. I think there is definitely a place for both, and there's a place for it to be mixed in. I'll tell you who, and you may not, honestly, you may completely disagree with them politically. My political stance has not changed from when you knew me back then.
Which was, you don't give a fuck, just don't make my life worse.
Yeah, but if you've ever watched Dave Smith from the Legion of Skanks,
he's a great comic, and he's not. By the way, I think Dave Smith has come more to the middle than he used to be.
Yeah, but you listen to his special, it's political stuff. It's stuff like
you got to know what you're going into. I mean, stand-up's always had some politics in it. Coco in the house, everybody.
That's so adorable.
Young Coco, 2 years old.
That's so cute, dude.
I don't know what he's looking for. Here's Coco's origin story. Tara and I stopped 2 years ago. A couple weeks ago was the anniversary of this. We stop at a Petco to get just dog food and cat food for the other one, for milk, and they're having a kitten adoption, and we're like, well, we'll look around.
Yeah.
And they immediately lead us to this blind and deaf, like mangy old cat.
Yeah.
Like, so now I've got to be miracle worker and like raise this blind and deaf, mangy old cat. And I'm looking at Tara like, we're not. And Tara's going like, fuck no, we're not. So we're walking out. We're like, thanks. Hey, thanks for showing us around. Good luck, you guys. And I turn and look to the back of the room, and there's this little bitty, I mean, he was this big, very Guardians of the Galaxy 3, little baby rocket. And he's in this little kennel by himself. And I go, who is that? And they go, oh, he's Zestar. We found him at the border and brought him up here. One of our employees at Petco was at the border for like a family thing and found him, put him in a kennel, brought him up here. And they claims he may or may not be part ocelot.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he's 2. And I go, well, can we hold him? Can we play with him? And as soon as I picked him up, I was like, oh no, Tara, we're taking him home.
Yeah.
And these people at Petco were so worried about getting rid of him, apparently, like he was such a troublemaker, that they immediately, when I said that, started like handing the paperwork to Tara, and here's all his toys and here's all his stuff. And while she's filling everything out, some poor little 6-year-old girl and her mom walked by, and I'm holding him, and she's like, Mom, I want that one. I was like, get away.
Yeah, fuck off.
So we get home, we ended up naming him Conan. He's Conan the Conqueror. He didn't give a fuck. Come on, man.
That cat rules. That was so hilarious watching him jump up. Just
He didn't give a fuck.
He owns it.
I gotta ask you, you've seen Kevin Smith live, right?
Yeah. I saw him. I actually saw him the week. I think it was like the week or two after he got kicked off the plane.
Oh yeah. You told that story.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the mental health thing?
No, dude. So I fell off of Kevin Smith, and it's nothing. It's like, it's funny, nothing personal, but it's like I don't know when and where I did, but I haven't seen Tusk. I haven't seen Clerks 3. I haven't seen any of those.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I fucking saw the Clerks 3.
Yeah, I need to go and I need to actually watch them. It's a big habit in my life, is I will fall deep into something, and then the day something else comes along, I'll just deep dive into that and I'll
put it away.
Yeah, it's almost like putting it on the shelf and be like, that was fun.
Yeah, it's like playing with your action figures, this kid. We're like, all right, we'll be back, Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. What was happening with that mental health thing though? I never even read about it.
So he I think he was having some issues with Jen, the wife, and he said he came to a place, he did a whole big thing for People magazine. That he got to a place where he couldn't separate reality from not reality, and that he was like losing his grasp on who he was and who Kevin Smith was on stage.
Oh, okay.
Like a comic would.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't know how to turn it off and stuff. So he went and did like 3 months at like a mental health facility in Phoenix, a real fancy one. That was a great Kevin Smith story. But I saw him, I took Tara to see him, Tara took me to see him. Either I guess it was like right before or right after the pandemic.
Okay.
And I know that you were there that night. I showed up to Buzzmill and I was working on a political campaign in San Antonio. I was like, hey, I just want to do a spot. And I ended up running the light. I did like 25 about finding out that my old man prostitute ex-wife had now had a kid with one of the old men within a year. And the next day, I told the whole story on stage. And
Yeah.
you're laughing your ass off. I'm just like living off of you and Jason, fucking giving me the nods in the back. And the next morning, I woke up and had like a very minor heart attack.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. And
Oh,
I'm sure it was just that played factors into it. I'm sure it had nothing to do with smoking or dieting or anything else. But
yeah, of course. It's all stress related. It's never anything physical.
no, I mean, it was definitely stress related. So it definitely wasn't bad choices. So,
Yeah.
so we're seeing Kevin Smith. I get up for the Q&A and I asked him some bullshit like dreamcasting thing, but then I get all deep and I told him I had a minor heart attack like 8 months, almost to the day after you did. And a month after that, I met Tara Brown, and she's been with me ever since. And she's convinced me to get back into comedy and acting and podcasting. And dude, Kevin Smith in that purple Joker blazer
Yeah.
sprinted off stage, and everybody's looking around like, where did he go? Pops out the side curtain at the Paramount and just holds Tara.
Oh, that's dope.
And they just had this moment. And then he runs back up there. And he was like, oh, I was so worried you were going to ask me to marry you guys. But man, he's so real. I love that he's able to, and I hope, I think we can both relate to it, where it's like, you can kind of adjust your expectations as you get older.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Kind of. What do you mean?
I mean, like at this point, Kevin Smith's not expecting to get called to direct Flash 2. You know
And
what I mean? Like
to be able to,
I guess it's what you said. It's finding your audience and making the most out of that.
right. Kind of take it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Adjust your expectation. Yeah. I was about to say, I know I've said some way dumber ways of saying that, but that is a perfect, of course I've heard that, but yeah, it really is like kind of figure out what is attainable and then just take that and whatever else comes with
And
that.
again, building that
Right.
audience, because today in today's media landscape, and God damn it, this writer strike. I'm the only guy you would ever meet, Jack Neal, that gets a little piece of a break
Yeah.
in acting, and then they're like, writer strike, we'll see you in a year.
Yeah. You
You're like, what?
yeah.
What?
What's funny is I call that some would call it karma. I call it old Jack coming back. And there's been times so far where, and not to say that the writer's strike is based on you.
No.
But when you've had some opportunities in the past and you kind of just took them for granted or blew them off,
Yeah.
and now you kind of come back around and you're like, all right, I'm putting my all into this. I know it seems like not, and I've had to tell myself and not to keep not to keep talking about the drinking shit, but I had to tell myself this year's going to be tough. And it's already happened about like 2 times now where I've asked for, hey, what do I got to do to work your club? What exactly do I have to do? I just need this 15-minute stage time, like consistently. And they told me, we need to make sure you actually can do 10 to 15 minutes. And I've told that to people and they're like, how insulting. And I'm like, it's not insulting. I'm like, I gave the perception out that you didn't know if I could actually be funny for 10 to 15 minutes.
Or not get pissed or not go off or whatever.
Exactly. But at the same time, you're like, damn, old Jack, like, why are you fucking with me now? I'm trying to take this shit seriously. It's same kind of, you know, there's been some times we've all had them where in the past you go, fuck. But yours is kind of wild. Your karma is always, that's weird to be like, hey, not only is your karma going to affect you, we're going to fuck over the industry. It's it is your fault.
I mean, honestly, oh, I wasn't that bad at that HBO show. But honestly, you know what bummed me out when the news broke and all that, and they said it was going to go on for a long time, is there are fucking writers who are legit going to have a hard time like making it work with their family.
Yeah.
We got writers, I mean, SNL writers, I mean, people put out the shit that we sit around ready to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the top of the top. And I want to make this closing argument when it comes to late night. Jimmy Fallon is the only one not paying his writing staff through this out of his own pocket.
Not paying the writing staff?
Out of his own pocket while they're on unpaid leave.
Yeah.
Colbert and Kimmel and whoever else is still around, they're all paying their people out of pocket.
Oh, okay. I heard he's a Texas guy, Zahid. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Indian dude out of Houston. He writes for Fallon, I think. But
he bitching?
Do what?
Was he bitching? Is he throwing a fit about this?
No, he said he had read that other writers were getting paid, or that I guess he works for Fallon. You just said Fallon was the one that's not paying.
That's not going to pay. Yeah.
So he said that he heard Fallon, they were still going to pay the grips, the guy who owns the cue card, that type shit. And he called up one of his buddies and was like, that's great, we're getting paid. And the girl was like, we're not getting paid, Zahid. We're kind of the issue right now. Like, we're not. That's his story to tell. He told it on a podcast. I found it kind of funny, but that's about the extent of I know of the writer's strike. He did have a good point. He didn't take it too. He didn't, he had his funny moments and then he had his serious moments. I think the people that end up winning are like, you're kind of in a mix of both worlds, but like the people that create their own content. I mean, I hate to
no, right now, live shows and doing indie shit is what's going to get us through this.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what's, I didn't even think about the live show part. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, people don't realize like in another month. So I think the only way that this comes to a quick stop from everything I've read and everybody's reports or whatever, and for all of everybody's covering it, is that if the Directors Guild, Milt, move your butt, please.
Just tug on it.
But if the Directors Guild and the Screen Actors Guild both strike, then that basically is like you can't even do reality shows.
Wow.
Because you're gonna have a director, even on a reality show.
That's crazy, dude. You know who's gonna come out of all this on top, and it's gonna piss the world off. But they typically
90 Day Fiance.
No, I don't know how you feel about this company, this crew, whatever. Barstool. Those motherfuckers are, dude. If you go look at their channel,
are they doing original content like big time?
They are starting to run their own. They of course have podcasts that they film. And then they have, it's probably going to be weird right now because baseball is not, I know you love baseball, but they don't really have the big, during NFL is when they have some really fun live shows. But, they have if you're in that world, which I dip my toe in every once in a while, and I watched it before I came on Like while I was eating lunch, this is what I watched was this thing called Stool Scenes. And it's just the drama in the office. And
Oh,
it's
man.
all their
See,
own shit.
that's what it's gonna be.
And it's they have their own, they film their own reality shows, whether it's in the office or I think their last one they
But
filmed in
it can
Colorado.
probably be kind of scripted officey style because I bet a lot of those guys aren't in the guild.
Yeah, there's a guy, he's a stand-up named Lil Sasquatch, which I think is the most ridiculous stage name, but good on you, man. Do what you got to do.
I used to know Barry Bigfoot.
Great guy, great guy. He shouldn't have tweeted
Solid
that,
dude.
though. If he didn't tweet that one thing, he'd be with him still.
He'd be
But,
be hosting the Tonight Show.
he that guy though, and then one of their other guys, they're doing a whole entire sketch show, and they're releasing one, a 15-minute thing once a month or once a week.
Yeah, and then by the time this fucking strike is over, they'll get picked up by HBO Max for that sketch show.
It could be, and it's funny. That's one of the first things that popped in my head when you were talking about all that is how much everyone seems to hate that company, like online, or sometimes when you talk to people in person, they go, oh, you like Barstool? It's like, well, yeah, they span a lot of shit. You don't have to like every single thing. If you like Fallon, doesn't mean you got to like Grey's Anatomy or whatever.
Right.
If they're on the same.
I mean, what? Yeah, I don't even like Walker. I did 2 years of it.
But that was the first thing I thought of. I said, watch, these motherfuckers gonna win again.
Well, what's interesting is that this whole summer is going to be shit like what you're talking about. These little small the goddamn Hot Wings show cannot be stopped.
Yes, exactly. Yes, it's people that like that, and I hate using the word content. I hate that word with a passion, but it is what it is. Those people are going to come out on top for sure because they're not going to slow down. Why would they?
I can see the Hot Wings show being on NBC like on a Friday night next year.
It's on Hulu right now.
Yeah, the whole episodes. I mean, would you go on there?
Oh yeah, I'd love to. Yeah.
Hell yeah. We're gonna do it together.
That'd be so fun, but he would get to like question. He'd be like, "We have." It'd be a great opening because there really only be like 3 or 4 wings out. He'd be like, "I didn't find much, man."
I don't have a lot to ask.
Yeah, exactly.
So when Cesc Chavez told you quit fucking with him, what did you say to him?
Exactly. Exactly.
But I think we're in a really interesting time of like so many new opportunities, but we just don't really know. It's such uncharted territory right now.
Yeah.
It's
like
I think a lot of people don't realize here in about a month, there's nothing new coming on other than 90 Day Fiance and shows like that.
I didn't when you're talking about it, and I'm like, okay, it doesn't. I'm thinking right now it doesn't affect me much because I'll listen.
It affects you in a positive way because it opens opportunities for you.
Right, but I never did the Tubi. I never did I literally just watched like a movie front to back, or 2 movies front to back in a row.
What were they?
I watched Old Henry. Weird choice. Very disappointed with the ending. Thought it was very like, why is he this person? But don't want to spoil it because it is literally the whole movie. And then I watched Air.
What do you think about Air? I watched it last weekend.
I
got real mixed feelings about it.
I don't think it should have been 2 hours, but I don't know what could have been cut.
I just think only Ben and Matt could take the Michael Jordan story and make it about middle-aged white guys arguing in an office.
Yeah, I thought it was so. What I tell you, the annoying thing is, so I'm falling asleep at the point when it pops up. This is how much this person made, or this, this idea, and you're like, hey man, we all saw The Last Dance. We know we that was like 4th episode.
We're all scrolled up. We all got our masters in Michael Jordan over COVID.
It felt like those facts went on for 5 minutes. I'm like, you just throw them in there next time. I don't know what to tell you, or
You
like
know,
do
I
it.
like the thing that Marlon Wayans played, where like the dude that had the MLK speech and watched MLK. Like the fact that that's a true story. That's a testament, I think, to Affleck's directing.
Yeah,
Like that's a fucking true story. But Fat J Moore, I don't think we needed.
that was he is insanely large. I
He
didn't know it
looked
was
like
him.
he
I
looked
didn't
like
know it was him.
I didn't know it was him either at first. He looked like he ate Bob Sugar and Jerry Maguire.
Yes, yes, he did. He looked insane. His
Yeah,
head was so big.
I mean it's I don't know if we have many more feel good movies. I'm excited about. Here's all I know about you. You in the past more than once have slapped a phone out of my hand for holding a trailer up to you.
True. I hate trailers. Yeah,
And I respect that.
yeah,
Because now I have seen like the same 45 to like a minute 30 of the Flash with no new footage. But I
yeah,
keep back every day on YouTube looking for like just anything new at all.
yeah.
And you know, you were always right about it. I'll tell you, I'm adult enough these days to tell you, you
You
ruined
ever
the experience for yourself.
you ever seen have you ever seen Old Henry?
No, who's even in it?
Do you remember when the Coen brothers did that did the where they had like 6 mini films, the Buster Scruggs movie?
Yeah,
Okay, so the guy in the front one who like played the guitar and was that old kind of older guy singing, and
yeah,
he's the main role,
okay,
and it's a Western. It's about a guy, that guy and his son, they're old men. You don't know what's going on with the old man. Whatever. He's just an old man. They end up finding a guy, some cash, and a gun. And he takes them in, and through time they start talking, and 3 guys come to get this guy, and then boom, the big fight scene happens. But throughout the reveal, I won't, I don't know if you're gonna see it or not. I won't reveal it.
no, reveal it. Come on.
Okay. The reveal is that the guy who the old man Henry, is Billy the Kid.
What?
He's been alive the whole time. It's a fictionalized story of how Billy the Kid
But they've buried the lead the whole time.
Yeah, because the mystery is, where did this guy come from? How is an old man, is he such a badass? It's it was good, and then up until then when they're like, it's a real dude. I mean, he's walking out the door and the guy's like, oh my God, you're Billy the Kid. And you're like, oh my God, that was so on the nose. Like, you really had to say it out loud, didn't you? So, but the thing about going back to trailers, that shit, they would have said Billy the Kid in the trailer and then cut to the old man, not revealing it was him, but in a way reveal. It's like, man, I don't want to see this shit. And then, but I guess to contradict myself, the only reason I watched Air is because of the trailer, because it's like, well, you're not really spoiling anything in
No,
this.
no.
Yeah.
We go into it knowing what the deal is.
Action movies, Marvel movies, that type of shit, don't watch the trailer.
I know you don't want to see any of that. I know, and I ruin everything for myself watching like every trailer ever behind the scenes. But what I'm hoping to get made here in the next few years is I'm planning on, and there's plenty of parts for you to read for, and I hope you will. I'm planning to pitch to any studio who will meet with me. Me gaining significant amount of weight and doing the Dusty Rhodes biopic.
There you go.
That's right, baby.
Hell yeah.
That's right, daddies. We gonna show the whole world, baby.
Go for it.
I think you keep in shape. You do the time at the end where you either play Gold Dust. I mean, it's up to you. No. You know what? You know how Cashy has? Fucking perm your ass up, grease it up, and you're Scott Hall, baby. There you go. Oh no, it's with a trader. There you go.
Oh, I don't know. I've been trying to keep up with my wrestling shit, but I don't know who that is.
I don't know any new wrestlers. I just know that they're I know that the real life Ari, the guy that Ari's based on in Entourage,
Okay.
Ari Emanuel, he just bought the UFC and WWE.
Oh, okay. I thought you want to talk wrestling all day? You have Raymond Cabrera on. That dude goes
Is
for
he,
it.
is he a fucking savant?
He loves that shit, man. He loves it. And we had talked about that on the podcast. I think it's I think what it'll open the door for is just a very easy crossroads of UFC fighters that want to fight, or I'm sorry, UFC fighters that want to go wrestle for a little bit, and then vice versa.
Right.
Can you imagine? I guarantee you we would have saw Brock Lesnar fight maybe one or two more times, but the shit probably got held up between McMahon and Dana White.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now it'll just be way simpler and probably cost them less money to be able to pay these people. I think it's a good idea.
Well, I think it's interesting that Ari Emanuel swooped in and bought it when they were about to sell it to a Saudi sheik.
Yeah, man, that would have been
Vince McMahon's involved in it. He's always been involved in all kinds of shady shit. Are you excited about Trump running for re-election? Are you excited about more hacky Trump jokes? Even though if he gets elected, he will be. He put out his policy platform for his second term, and it's basically I say how it goes, and I can do whatever I want, and that's kind of his campaign platform this time around.
I will admit when I was wrong. I will not say he was exactly still Hitler, but that dude fucked up everything. And I mean, it's not falling on deaf ears. It's an obvious like, well, yeah, no shit, Jack. No, don't come back.
Well, I mean, it's so crazy because you've always been one of the guys intelligent enough to make the argument that like, yeah, but are both sides that different? And that's a tough argument to really make articulately.
Yeah.
You've been one of those guys who have always drove me nuts who can make that argument and go like, yeah, but you look at the lobbyist money, like it's not like one side's not meeting with fucking military industrial complex people or big pharma.
Yeah. I think that I think it's been fucked up in the way of does either side have someone that's like, what we're talking about the same two people?
Well, that bums me out. And
someone new.
Look, I got an autographed Joe Biden fucking picture right here to me.
Nice.
But the thing is my God, he's haven't we put the man through enough?
Yeah, for sure. That's
fuck. And now there's reports coming out saying that he's like ornery and hard to deal with around the White House. You're like, I bet he fucking is.
Yeah, for sure.
Not once has he amassed himself some old black lady army to fucking take over the Capitol.
Yeah. Do new and new. Do two new contenders.
I would love that. Who I want to see run is Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, who he looks like Patrick Bateman from American Psycho.
Oh, that'll okay.
Talks like him, acts like him. So where it's like, here's the deal. I'm going to go ahead and order for you. You're going to have a middle class tax cut, and after that will be followed by the blue cheese salad. Jesus. You'll love it. The New York Times called it delicious. Beyond so. But it's crazy that Trump's running again, and he's he just doesn't give a fuck.
I think enough like actual. You got the people that follow him, which is different than I guess Republicans. And by the way, I haven't spoken about this. Is the first just coming off the top of my head. I think I would imagine the Republican Party is like, no, dude. I even talked to my dad who like, he was the team. He was rah for Republicans. And then once he was gone, you could even tell he was like, oh, thank God. Like, right. I think
because he wasn't about Republicans. He was about him.
Yeah. And I think, I just don't want to hear the bitch anymore, man.
I don't want to hear his fucking name. Here's what I don't want to hear anymore. I don't want to see him up there going, and look at what they did to me.
Yeah. I know.
Here's how far we've come, and I'm in so much trouble, boy. They arrested me. The whole country's broken. And
Yeah.
the dude got fucking arrested.
Yeah. No one wants to. It's like, it's over, man. It's
They're
over.
saying he's gonna get arrested up to 3 more times this summer, based on like real charges, like espionage stuff.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he had a former his former White House lawyer who did not have a bad breakup with him came out yesterday and was like, hey, the fact that the FBI now knows that Donald Trump was hiding like classified information, it's like if you and I stole letterhead from an office when we got fired,
Yeah. Wow.
stole like nuclear secrets and put them in his fucking man cave. And then when the FBI was like, hey, we got to come by and pick that stuff up, is that cool? He was like, I don't even know where it is. Oh, it's not there anymore.
It's just, I mean, you talk about a drama queen. I'll tell you what was this is something Shane Gillis put into great words. Is it was fun watching people that already didn't like the way I thought. It was fun watching them be annoyed.
Yeah.
Fun watching that. And then, but I can't do it again. We did it for 4 years and
it took years off our life.
Yeah, it got way out of hand, man. It's
I'll
like,
tell you what, the hardest week of my life was there was a Tuesday, and you were there because we were doing a show at some gay bar in San Marcos that we used to do.
Yeah, Stonewall.
Oh, that was a wild, fun show with like a catwalk and fun. Oh, it was so much fun. Big posters at Billy Joel and Elton John and Olivia Newton-John. And then we leave there and we go down to whatever that bar is downstairs, and the Cubs win. And I think at one point I'm shirtless on the bar when they win the World Series.
Yeah.
And a week to that day, we're at the same bar after doing that same hit-up show. And you're going, quit telling these people that it's going to work out, because there's like all these liberal like San Marcos people coming up to me going like, hey, Hillary's going to sweep the West, right? She'll get the Midwest, right? And I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna. And you're like, dude, you're lying to these people.
It was great. It was I gotta tell you, that's actually when you weren't there, which was funny because Jason was like, he ain't coming out tonight, man. Yeah, when it all went down, when he was elected or whatever. But I remember me and Jason having a scream. We didn't know each other really that well. We're having a screaming match where comics were coming outside going, hey, are y'all okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just poking this bear right now because he's screaming he's the next Hitler. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't see it. I don't think he could get that far without someone eventually.
And that's the thing, I'll say. I mean, he's retarded Hitler, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, QAnon, I went back last night and ended up watching some QAnon documentary. They found the fucking kid in China who claimed he was Q.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's on an HBO doc. So I guess like if you don't have HBO, you did. But even when it's brought to the attention of the QAnon people, they're like, that's what Q wants you to think.
Jesus Christ.
Q's using it as a cover.
Well, after the January 6th stuff, I was talking to my dad about it. Like
I take your dad. I've met him like once or twice at a mic or at a showcase or whatever. Hey, you guys are spitting image. But it's adorable. But I take him as like an old school like Reagan, H.W. Bush, George W. Republican.
Yeah, I mean, like he's it
like
don't matter.
Reasonable.
It don't matter, dude. You could literally put anybody on the Republican Party. That's who he's gonna be. Like that's who he's about. But so we were talking about the January 6th stuff, and I was just like, that was nuts, right? I mean, like that was my kind of reaction. Like that's how much I care, which is gonna end up biting me in the ass when there's a revolt one day, and I'm like, what are we revolting?
No. You follow Mitt Romney out, you'll be fine. You see Mitt Romney chopping his fucking knees.
But he was he said, yeah, man, I'm so glad I didn't go. And I went, yeah. And he goes, no, I was in Washington. And I was like, I was there for work, but I was like, oh, I saw this pop up on whatever that other alternative social media was I like, why are you on that?
Truth or Gabber or
Something like that. And then he,
Fuckface, whatever it's called.
yeah, but then he goes, yeah, I was gonna go, but I was like, you know what? My picture gets taken there. It's gonna be bad. And it's like, yeah, dude, like you need to get out of that mentality. Oh shit, man. I was gonna let you know we're gonna be interrupted. My family just got here.
No. Hey, well, let's wrap this up. I got plugs for you.
Okay.
We've done like 2 hours, brother. It's been fucking awesome.
Yeah,
June
it's great.
9th, come out, man. Come out and do a spot. Jack Neal, ladies and gentlemen, is co-host of the Big Sad Podcast. You can find it on anywhere you get your podcasts delivered to you.
Yes, sir.
Wednesday night in San Antonio, Wheel of Comedy. He'll be hosting that at the what was the name of the club?
At Upstage Comedy Lounge, 7 p.m.
7 p.m. And this Friday, he'll be at the show is near dear to his heart at Wake the Dead. It's 4 from 15. Sam Durrani, Jay LaFar, Sean Riley, Paul Cyphers. My quick plugs. Starting hosting a trivia night on Wednesday, Doghouse Beer Garden in Austin.
Nice.
It ought to be a lot of fun. Thursday night's the last ever episode of Love and Death, the big verdict in the trial. I'll be making all kinds of faces as the assistant district attorney looking up for my notes.
There you go.
And then June 9th, hopefully we can get Jack out there. It'll be myself, Rob Huey, Brian Colson, and Devin Powell.
Yeah, I'll be there, man. I'll be there.
Oh man, I can't wait to see it, dude. It's gonna be a good time. This has been so much fucking fun. Jack, thanks for popping in. It's been Weirdos at Home. Go
Absolutely.
see Jack live.
Yes, sir. I'd appreciate it, man. It was great catching up with you.
Hey man, it's good to see you, buddy.
Later.